Hi everyone, my name is Desmond Marshall from Hooge Ventures. If you are looking on the screen, you will see this looping back and forth. So I'm sorry I used the Chinese one. I'm still updating the English one. But if you want, you can add in all the QR codes, my official LinkedIn and everything, the company. So sometimes I write a lot of articles on it, share a lot of information, insider information news. So if you like, you could just add on and take a ride. But before I go on to say about the topic today, I want to ask, what do you want to learn or what do you want to hear from me? Anyone? Nothing? What do you want to hear from me? Anyone? Anyone? Give me some feedback. Anyone? What would you like to take away from me today? Nothing. So we can end early. Okay. Okay, lady.
How to get investment from you?
How to get investment from me? Okay, that's okay. From a beautiful lady, that's always a good sign. Okay, and you?
點揾第一筆創投基金？
How to find the first seed round of funding? Anything more? That's it. It's pretty easy, right? Nothing. We're talking about business development today. Come on, everyone should be a sales. Because if you don't, I won't invest. Because as an owner, as a CEO, you should be the biggest salesman or sales lady in the company. If not, then what are you doing? Sitting on your bum and not doing anything, hoping clients will fall from the sky and jump on your lap and give you a lot of money? Don't be stupid. What I can't stand is stupidity in running a business. So I run a business with my hands down on the floor. So if you don't know anything or if you can think about, oh, I just left a big company as a CEO and I'm starting as a new company for my own new company and you're assuming that you can use the same mentality in your new company, I can tell you, you will fail in no time. No time, because I've seen a lot of these cases. Many cases is like, hey, I've just left LVMH as the CEO or whatever, and yeah, I'm going to a new company or whatever, and what do you do on a daily basis? Nothing, okay. Yeah, I'm hiring people, but I'm not doing anything. Or when was the last time you spoke to a client? This is normally the first question I ask, okay. So yeah, normally the very first question is, how often, because we're talking about business development today, so it's all about sales. Sales is a nasty word. But the thing is, we're all selling something. You go to an interview, you're selling yourself. You develop a new product, you're selling the product. You got a service, a financial service, or you're selling insurance, you're selling a service. So you're selling something. You're finding a boyfriend or a girlfriend. You're selling also your personality. So everyone is selling. The only thing is you just don't want to admit it. But if you do early, then at least you have a better chance of making things successful. So going back to some of the questions is, how do you get investors to invest in you? Pretty much how do you get your first seed round of fund of money? For me, it's pretty easy in a way, but also very difficult. Because I don't care about the money first. I don't care about your products. I care about, like I said, the whole thing about investments and everything is what? Is you're trying to sell something. You want investors. You're trying to sell the investors your company. That this is a great company. You're packaging it in a way so that people get interested. So it's all about what? It's all about psychology. I do a lot of work on psychology. So if you go into my LinkedIn or whatever, you see what I did for a lot of luxury brand goods and also consumer goods in the retail side as well. But going back, my work is twofold with Hooge Ventures. One is I'm an investor. I look into projects and I invest in projects and I make it happen. Number two, or I capital raise. Number two is we provide a few very specific fiduciary services to help these companies. So say, for example, what we're working on very keen on or very closely right now, have you heard about ICOs? ICOs, coin offerings, stuff like that, right? Hong Kong SFC just listed out, China just banned ICOs or whatever. I don't really care about them because we do something different. We do a little bit more professional than what these kids are doing. And of course, we do IPOs in terms of how to strategize and repackage a company, how to build up the business plan, business models, repackage the model, do the application proofs and everything so that it's packaged in a way that people will believe it. Of course, we're not talking about cheating people, but then again, it's a way of how we look into what you have strategically and pull the most strategic things out of what you have. So going back, what we're talking about today is business development. So how many of you are salespeople? There's no shame. There's no shame in being a sales, right? Or is it? If you go to someone else, how many of you are selling insurance or none, right? Or anyone doing any insurance-related startups around here? None, okay. Well, these are the best people in terms of sales. So if you know someone, I'm sure you've come across a few friends who've been in the insurance industry. Look at how they use their techniques. Some are good, some are bad, but then again, there's a lot of theories and good applications, techniques in how to actually sell. For me, it's business development. So it's pretty much exactly the same thing because at the end of the day, like I said, I do a lot of consulting. I do consulting for big brands, Rolls-Royce, LVMH, whatever. And I tell them, I don't really care about your product because your product is crap. It's just a bag, it's just a car. If I'm comparing a Rolls-Royce, a $1 million car, compared to, sorry, it's not 1 million. It should be like 10 million, okay? $10 million car compared with a bus, then of course you lose. But why do people buy Rolls-Royce? Because if you're taking the bus or the MTR, you can't get a $10 billion contract. So it's a business tool. And you're using 10 mil to get a $10 billion contract, that's very cheap, right? That's an investment. So, but if you're just selling, hey, I've got this Rolls-Royce, it's got 4 wheels, bulletproof glass, and it's got a rocket launcher inside. Would you like it? Nah, I don't need that because I'm taking the MTR or whatever. I don't need it as a transportation tool. So, but I say, hey, you're a big boss, you need that $10 billion contract. If you go on an MTR, you're never gonna get the $10 billion contract. So get your client inside the Rolls-Royce and then you can focus on him and talk for an hour inside a very comfortable, very safe, very secluded area and talk about your $10 billion money laundering business. That's pretty cheap, right? It's all about psychology. It's all about, at the end of the day, business development is all about psychology. So yeah, I haven't gone to the actual gist of what we should be talking today because I need you to understand that even when we're talking to the investors or how our roles go in, your role should be the first thing you should be thinking about first. It's not about us. It's about you doing the professional things first. Because how do you get my money is by you attracting me with something that I'm concerned with. What am I concerned with? You don't know. Then why are you asking me for $10 billion? Right? That's disrespect. If you go to a client, and it's a very important client, what do you do first? What do you normally do before you meet a client? Hello? Research, Google, right? Google research. What do you research on a client?
Normally for a person, you have LinkedIn.
Right? LinkedIn? Right? Right? Okay. Right, okay. Very business, basic, but that's the basic thing. If you go onto a client who's going to sign a $10 billion contract, you should be researching him or her about these things. right? I would research a lot more than that. We do a lot of due diligence. So checking on companies whether we should be investing or not, checking, hey, I'm not gonna give you $1 just by listening to your 5-minute pitch. Never. I might be interested, but I will not be throwing money out just because you said 5 minutes that I'm the only guy who could go to the rocket. No, or go to the moon. You're not going to be the one. So I do a lot of due diligence. I check up a lot of things. And yeah, LinkedIn is a basic thing I will do. Check up on the guy, what he did before, and if I knew any of his friends, because I'm sure that there will be some friends connected to me, and I can check up on him or her. But I also do a lot more things than just business side of things. There are a lot of cases where companies come up to me and say, hey, Desmond, I need your money. So basically that's what they ask for in different ways. Okay, they say, hey, I've got this project. I'm the only one who can do this. So why don't you invest in me? So basically it's like, Desmond, give me money. So that's not a very good sign, right? If you start off and say, okay, give me money, and I just say, what do you give me in return? Nothing. So that's really a very bad way of asking investors for money. Because there are good investors, there are bad investors. So I can't say for other people. I've seen very bad ones, I've seen very good ones. But I can only say for myself is, I want a fair trade. So I'm betting on you. It's just like buying Mark 6 or the lottery. But of course, it's an educated guess because I can pretty much dictate or see how those numbers will come out. If I know what exactly you're doing and what you can actually are capable of doing. So going back in terms of looking at things is, if you're approaching an investor, never ever, at least to me, and say, Desmond, I've got a perfect solution that I can be the only one who can tackle this market. Keywords that I really hate, I'm the only one, I'm unique, and no one else can do better than I do. Because so far, I haven't seen anything that's really unique. I do a lot of medical things, med tech and all that stuff. So if you have something that can sort of like filter cancer cells in the blood system, which we are doing, to me, it's not unique as well, but at least it's much more unique than other things coming along. Say, for example, a marketplace, an online platform, for example. So the thing is, if you're trying to get investment, stand down, think about what exactly can you do first. So you should be thinking about how you convey your professionalism out to people. It's just like going to a sales. It's just like going to a very important client. Most people come and, well, normally what we do is, hey, we got some networking and stuff like that. So normally when people know that I'm an investor, okay, they will flock and say, okay, I've got this project around here. Can I show you something or whatever? Okay, yep. After 5 minutes, I pretty much forget about everything. So you send me the files. If I have time, I'll take a look. If not, I'll wait probably 1 or 2 days and then skim it and then probably dump it away or give you some feedback. That's pretty much it. So if you're trying to approach people or approach investors, be a little bit more timid, humble. Because, well, of course, there are really bad investors which will talk back and talk down on you. But don't feel frustrated, but that's just life. There will be bad people, people who will be disrespectful, but that's how the way of life works in terms of how you're asking people for money. Because at the first step is you are asking people for money. My theory or my concept is, if you don't need to, don't ask. If you can self-sustain, don't even ask for anything. Not even 1 cent, not even $1. Because that goes down to how much control do you want to give out. There are people who are new companies. I say, hey, I've just started this company. I need funds. Who doesn't need money, right? Everyone needs money. It's just a matter of what can you exchange and give out back. So can you give out revenue? Can you give out your products? Can you give out your firstborn? No, not really. So the only thing you can give out is, and you think it's valuable to other people, are the equities that you have in your company, which I don't really give a shit. Seriously, I don't really give a shit about your equity. You're not listed, so bad things can happen. And the kind of equity there is, it's really worthless, pretty much. So your best bet is really think about what the investors really are looking into first. Because what we will be looking may not be, hey, I need you to have a lot of revenue, but I need the hope of, hey, if I'm investing, what's the basic concept of investment? Anyone here? Can give me some examples or concept? Investment. None? Come on, people. Please give me some feedback. Give me some feedback. The concept of investment is if I'm sacrificing $100 today, I am betting and I'm putting my probability on I'm getting $200 in return, a higher return back. So it's a probability game. It's a way of, hey, I'm sacrificing $100 today and I'm losing that cash flow, but I'm betting on I'm getting more cash flow at a certain date. That's the concept of investment, which is pretty much like betting. But of course, in terms of betting, is, yeah, you can do all your homework and stuff like that as well. No problem. Everyone does their homework. Everyone thinks they do all their homework. And we do our homework as well. And it goes down back to the concept of what we have talked about today in terms of our topic is, if you have a good investor, then my role will be, hey, if I am investing in your company, I am in the same boat as you are. So which means that I will keep this boat as afloat as possible, as long as possible, because if shit really happens, I will be sinking together with you. But of course, how do you get the investor to step onto your boat? That's the key concept. That's the way of selling. So the concept is pretty easy because you're different, you're different, you're different. Even if you're saying, hey, this is lady, all ladies think alike, all men think alike, no. Everyone's different. So if you're asking for this guy for $10 billion, you better know what he really likes. What I research on is how many mistresses you have, how many wives you have, where do you go on vacation, all these things. Very soft information, pretty much like the CIA and the FBI. But that's what we do. That is seriously what we do. There are cases where companies come up to me and say, okay, invest in my company. I've got this thing moving along. So I'm interested a little bit. I'm asking a little bit of a question. And I say, who are your founders? Oh, this and me and this lady around here. My first question is, what's your relationship with this lady? Boyfriend, girlfriend, lovers, mistresses? Just give me the lowdown. Just give me the real reason, what it is behind that. So yeah, I'm snooping. I'm not snooping, I'm just asking. So I haven't even gone to the snooping section yet. But yeah, I'm just asking, hey, what's your relationship? Oh, this is my girlfriend. Then ding, this is a red flag for me. Because what happens if you break up with your girlfriend? So yeah, I'm investing in your company and suddenly your girlfriend says, you got the money and then you go and find other girlfriends. I'm going to break up with you. So what's going to happen next? There's a possibility that the company will crumble. Depends on how the other lady takes a role inside that company. So if she's just like a receptionist, okay, fine, no problem. I can replace her pretty much quickly. But if she's the accountant, or if she holds all the sales and business development and everything, the sales, I would say, the guy, get away. Go away. I'll tell the girl, okay, break up with this guy around here. If I do invest in those companies. Yes?
If some customer from university, they have funded experiment, but universities invested some seed money. So what you feel for this kind of the company?
So the question was, if there's a bunch of young guys having a new company and the university or some other organization pumps in some seed money to them, will that affect how I think about this company? Yes, of course it does, but it doesn't really matter a lot because I actually analyze in terms of how you actually use the money. So the fact is, yeah, if you don't have the money, if you're a young company, I'm just like 3 months old, okay, I'll just use a 3-month measurement tape and see how it goes. I can't expect you to have, hey, like within 3 months, you have already like 10 million customers. That's just unrealistic. I'm a very realistic person. I'm a very practical person as well because I do a lot of hands-on thing with the company. So the fact is, it will affect how I think about these companies based upon how they use the money. Because, hey, if you don't have the money, it's hard to gauge how much you're working on. Well, it's not that hard, but it's still a way of gauging it. But if you're saying, hey, I've got the seed money from STP or Hong Kong U or other organizations, then I will say, okay, how much money you got? Okay, you got 100K. Good. How did you use your 100K? That's a test. That really is a test. That's a test of show me how you use that 100K. Do you buy a Ferrari? Or do you deposit onto your property? Or do you hire a lot of crazy people in your company just to make other people believe that you're a big company? So these are things I can actually analyze and see because the next question will be, okay, if you're using these money, I don't mind if you're buying a Ferrari, okay? If you're saying that I'm buying a Rolls Royce because I can get a $10 billion contract, okay, that's a valid reason. I don't mind spending the money. I mind that you don't know how to spend the money. That's most of the people or most young companies these days don't know how to do. And that's very worrying because the first bucket of money that you get free, because there are so many grants outside, free money, pretty much free money, seed money. So 10K, 100K, 50K or whatever. And that's why you see a lot of companies go from this pitching event going to that pitching event. They become like professional pitchers. I take that into account as well because there are some things that do not change. For example, how many hours a day do you have? How many hours? 24. Exactly. How many hours a day do you have? Same, 24, okay? It's fair. We all have 24 hours a day. If you are spending 12 hours, if you're splitting yourself into two things, so you're focusing 24 hours on one thing, you're focusing 24 hours on two things, which means that you only focus 12 hours on one thing. So if I'm going to bet who's going to have the most high probability of winning, I will be betting on you because you have 12 extra hours on working on certain things. Of course, there will be a little bit of adjustments and stuff like that, but then again, these are things that I take into account. So for the younger companies that constantly goes into pitching events, I will be questioning them and say, what have you been doing yesterday? For the last 24 hours, what have you been doing? Oh, I was just sitting in my conference room and just playing with my computer or whatever, going on Instagram and stuff like that. So that's a no-no for me. Because like I said, from the very get-go, as a CEO, as a founder, you are the biggest salesman or salesperson. If you're not going out and making your 24 hours a day count, then it's something that, why would I use my money and give it to you to play? Why don't I use it myself? Why don't I just hire a bunch of models and then let's go on yachting and drink a lot of champagne? Why not? Why do I have to give that money over to you so that you can waste it away and, yeah, pretend that you're actually working? So it goes back to the topic today, the value of an investor and how it affects the business development. And like I said, in some of the cases I just mentioned previously, is how much control you want to let go. Because like I said, there are good investors, there are bad investors. I can't say for others. Sometimes I can be a control freak. So, but the thing is, I will let things go if you show me how professional you are. Because I'm not a professional in a lot of things. But I know a lot of things. That's my job. If I don't know, you come up to me and say, hey, Desmond, I built this rocket just using water. And then I can just shoot myself up into the moon. I'm the only guy who can do that. And if I don't know about chemistry and all these biology and physics and all that stuff, I would say, wow, great, that's a great story, that's a real thing. Then I'm the one who's getting conned. So yeah, shame on me, because I didn't do my homework. But I'm sorry, but I do a lot of homework myself. So different areas, different industries, different situations or different geopolitical situations, I pretty much have a grasp. I don't know everything, because as a company, you coming up to me, you should be the one who's more professional than I am in that particular space. If I can ask you certain questions and you can't answer me, then it means that I'm more professional than you are, and you don't know what the hell you're talking about. So if you're going up to a major client, it's just like going up to a major client. Again, you're seeing a client again. You're going up to a client, you do your research, and you do your anticipation, what kind of questions your client's going to ask you, right? They will be asking you, hey, I'm going to guess he's going to ask these questions. Do I have answers myself? You don't just go in with your flip-flops and then pretend that, oh, okay, I'm just cool around here. I just go in, I'm prepared. These are the first things I will normally ask, and then if not, I'll just stop the meeting and then kick you out, period. Don't waste my time. Let's not waste each other's time. So in terms of business development, that's pretty much the same thing it goes in terms of how you should be approaching your own customers as well. But then again, how does an investor add in value to that business development process? There's a lot, actually. There are investors who will say, hey, I'm just giving you the money and I'll close my eyes and I'll wait a year and then, hey, let's meet up after a year and see if you can give me back $200. Normally, that's how China or a lot of places where companies or individual investors or family offices do, because they don't have enough resources. They don't know a lot of things. So they just believe in you because, hey, I don't know, water can't be fuel in a rocket. So you painted a rosy picture for me, you have great sales, so I believe in you, I'm going to give you $10 billion. If I took that $10 billion, I'll be running away, right? I would be running away, because if you're holding $10 billion in your hand, you really have that temptation of running away. Everyone has it, no doubt about it. It's just a matter of how early you run away, or how successful you can run away without getting caught. So the fact is, if you are doing the business development and how the investors are coming in, there are certain investors, like I said, they don't care. They just give you your money and then, okay, they just wait it out. These can be the best investors if you know what you're doing, because they don't breathe down your neck, right? So, hey, no one's calling you about daily, every hour, hey, how's it going, Mr. Chan? How's my business? Do we have revenue? Do we have profit, et cetera, et cetera? Those are just the same questions over and over again, because there's pretty much nothing that they can ask, because I'm just giving you the money, just give me the results as soon as possible. But for startups or for younger companies these days, new tech companies, the situation has changed a lot. Back in the old days, we're doing the old style, the old school thing. So we do have to, hey, help the companies do IPO, do different things, find new investors coming in. So it's more traditional in that sense. It's more solid because the companies come to us is more solid. Companies that come to us these days are very fluffy. They come with me and say, hey, I've just got this napkin, an idea, or whatever. I just kick them out. Don't come with me on that, okay? So don't you dare. Don't waste my time. At least tell me something that's operable, that's running. I don't care if you've got small revenues, because you're a young company, I can't expect much, but just tell me the truth. That's how it is. Don't tell me that you think I want to hear a big rosy picture. There are certain investors who like that, but hey, you're not the only one who's trying to paint a rosy picture. So if you can package it in such a way that people can't find any flaws in your story, go ahead. I don't really care. It's not my problem. But when you're coming up to a real investor, I will be asking you the right questions. Very simple questions, and you give me simple answers. Because if I don't, I can't invest in your company. Because normally these companies are not like listed companies. You don't have 60 people working on one item. You have one person working on 60 items. So you're thinned out. Your manpower is thinned out. So everything you do is, hey, if I'm going onto the boat with you, I will be making sure that this is not Star Ferry. I want to make you to become an aircraft carrier. So that's my job as well, to make sure that this thing stays afloat and also becomes very strong. So it means that for certain investors, or for yourself, you can ask as well, hey, you're doing a trading. It's not like I'm selling something and you're not getting anything back. So yeah, you should be asking, okay, what kind of value does this investor help me in return? Because there are a lot of people who've got money. There are a lot of people who doesn't have money but also have value in a business. So say, for example, there are companies coming up and say, hey, Desmond, I know you're working on a lot of consumer things in China. I want to expand into China. That's a value complementary service or complementary area that we can actually work together. So, okay, yeah, makes sense. But the fact is, would I want to work with you in the first place? So it's always the same thing. It's like getting a boyfriend and girlfriend. You don't just come up to the girl and say, hey, I've got like 2 Rolls Royces. You want to date me? Not really, right? Yeah, that guy has 3. So when you're doing, or how that value the investor is, it depends on each individual. Because back at the end of the day, I'm talking about the same thing and the same thing over again, is everyone is an individual. So what I'm saying, I'm only saying for myself as an investor. I can't say for other people. I can just categorize what they are. But each and every person is different. Say, for example, hey, maybe your husband gave you a bunch of roses last night, and you're very happy today. And that changes entirely how you make decisions today. That's psychology. But if I don't know, if I'm not on your Facebook and check your photo and say, oh, you got a bunch of roses, I can assume, have an educated guess that she's going to be pretty happy today. So it's good that if I approach her, then I have a better chance, a better probability of going forward. You see how that is? It's very simple. Most people fail because, why? Lazy. You're just plain lazy. If that person is so important, why aren't you researching? Some of the companies come up with me and say, hey, Desmond, I know you're an investor. I just met you here. I want to do this and do that. I'm not impressed. Some of those impress me is, hey, Desmond, I know you just finished an event just last night. How is it? And all that stuff. Small chat, okay, which means that I know you're small chatting me to something bigger, but then again, it shows me that you're actually research on me. Hopefully you're not stalking me, but then again, you're researching a little bit on me, which means that you respect. That's a little bit of respect. So I take those little nuances into account because that shows how you run your own company. If you don't look into these details in terms of a client. Because if you say, hey, I don't know who you are, but I'm asking you for $1 billion, then I can expect you to have the same attitude towards your clients. Then that is not a good way of finding sales, of doing business development. So normally the first thing as an investor I will be looking into in business development side is, and as a CEO for the companies, the founders themselves, is how good you are as a sales. That's the very first thing. I won't be asking you how good you are in sales because you'll be giving me numbers and all that crap. So it's useless. I will look into what kind of techniques you use in terms of approaching clients and how you understand your professional market, the customers in your professional market. Because those are the ones, or those are the people who are actually giving you the money. So if you don't know that, hey, ladies, hey, I'm going to give you not roses, but I'm going to give you daisies, or I'm going to give you like an iPad, you'll be pissed off. So it's very different in terms of each industry and your particular clients will be. Let's say, for example, hey, you're doing a platform, everyone's doing pretty much the same thing. Nothing is unique anymore. Even with, hey, I'm building rockets. But the fact is, your clientele, your group of clientele, and yours are very different. You know people, you know your own people, you've got your own connections. Those are very different subset groups of clientele. So I won't be assuming everything will be the same. I will be asking very simple questions like, why is that particular client using his or her money to buy a product or a service from you to tackle what kind of problems he or she has? That's pretty much the gist in one line, and that's the pretty much all. In every course I teach, I tell people to just write that line, because that will show you the audience that you have, the kind of problems that you have, why you are the one who can actually attract and interest people to pay you. If you can't answer that question, don't even bother coming to me. So as an investor, that's the first step in terms of what kind of value I'm adding. I will be slapping you in the face and making sure that you know where your direction is. Because most founders or most CEO, I'm a CEO, I'm a founder myself, I've started many different companies myself, I sometimes will fall into the trap of, hey, tunnel vision. I just assume that this is going to work, this is going to work. But you have to step out of your tunnel and look at the big picture. I'm not the best. Something is wrong with my product. It's not good. Clients are not looking at it. Am I asking the right questions? What did I do at the very beginning? I didn't assume a lot of things. I asked what you want to hear first. That's the first step of business development. So it's these kind of techniques that I will help to instill into the company. Now the second thing normally will be, okay, strategic partnerships and a lot of different things coming along. So the second thing I normally will be looking into a founder will be, or the founding team will be, how open-minded you are. Because there are stubborn people, there are open-minded people. There are people who are willing to learn or willing to accept new things. I've met a lot, stubborn people. And when I say something, I'm saying this with a backing of more than 20 years of experience in the market, consumer market and everything. So, and also myself immersed into this market. So I pretty much have a grasp of a lot of things. I can't guarantee because I don't control the market sometimes. But the fact is, if I'm saying something, well, it's good if you listen and start thinking about what's wrong with your company. So what I do is normally like very practical solutions, quick, fast, efficient, using less resources as much as possible, because that's what I do. I save companies. A lot of companies come over here, even the VCs come over here and say, hey, Desmond, save my company because I invested in this company, I left it for a year, and then shit happens right now. So save it for me. So not a lot of money, not a lot of resources, not a lot of time. How can I turn this around, turn around it, repackage it, and sell it back, put it on listing online, onto a stock market, or finding other investors coming in. So if you're pretty stubborn, then it's going to have a big clash with not just me, with other investors. At the end of the day, I respect each and every founder. I only respect you if you're professional enough. So it's like a collaboration. I look at this as a more collaborative process. I don't dictate. Even I'm putting in the money, I may not have 51%, you have the 51%, but I don't count on these percentages at the very beginning. I look into, can we become partners, good partners? Because I'm not expecting you to turn this around overnight or over a week, and we'll be all successful. If you can say that, and I'll say, I'll back you off, I'll leave you be. Don't call me for a week, and then we'll reap the rewards. But no, reality is no. especially younger companies or newer companies these days, it takes time. It takes at least 2 years' time these days. Quick, maybe 1.5 years or whatever. But the fact is, I'm going to be with you for quite some time. So if you don't like that person, for whatever reasons, don't ask him for money. It's that simple. Yeah, he may be rich or whatever, then he's going to be, if you put that person into your board or, hey, talking to you on a daily basis, you better make sure that you like that person. If you don't like that person for whatever reasons, because I don't know, everyone has their own reasons. Hey, I don't like your face, you're not handsome enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not doing the business. I don't really care. If something bothers you for even slightly, don't even start. Going back, why even ask for money in the first place? That's how it is. The best companies, when people ask me, hey, what's the best size of a company? And I say, as little as possible, if you can. My company is not big. Like I said, I save companies. I make sure companies are lean and mean. So don't expect that I'm going to hire 60 people to scrub the toilets. No. You're going to be, as a CEO, scrubbing the toilet, okay? Just as a joke. But the fact is, I will keep things as simple as possible because human beings are very complicated animals. Very complicated. The more people you have, I can pretty much guarantee 200% that shit's going to happen sooner, one day or later. So even if you're saying, hey, this is good, this is my girlfriend, this is my wife or whatever, if you're working, hey, I've seen a lot of couples breaking up just because of arguments in the business. Tons of it. Even with companies or brothers, sisters, they breaking up because, hey, I don't like you because, hey, you're not listening to me, you're not listening to me. So there's no leeway in between. So that partnership doesn't work at the very beginning. So yeah, it's very difficult to find good partners. It's a test, trial and error kind of thing going along. But the fact is, if you have something that you don't like, then don't even start. That's the thing, how it is. So when people ask me, what's the size of it? And I say, as little as possible. Oh, I've got like 3 people on the founding team. I said, no, I won't be asking 3 people to decide on and have a meeting and decide on what kind of social media platform we're going to put on. We're going to have one person within the 3 of you to make that decision. I don't care whether it's chairman, you're the chairman, you call yourself the chairman or you call yourself the boss. I'm just going to ask one person to make that decision. Because what normally happens when you have 4 people having a meeting? Nothing gets done. Nothing gets done. You just have a meeting, oh, how are you doing? Oh, let's talk about the weather, we'll talk about other shitty things coming along, and then you're just wasting your time. And this guy is saying, hey, I don't like this. Hey, and this guy is saying, hey, I like this. Then what do? And someone is saying, hey, I don't want to like mess up with everyone's relations, so I'm going to be happy with all these decisions around here, so don't ask me. So that's what normally happens in a company, or if you work in a big company, that's how you do in a boardroom as well. When you're having meetings, hey, everyone's saying, hey, I'm late, I'm sorry, and then I'm doing something else, and then, hey, I'm sorry, but let's not make a decision after like 5 hours of meeting time. That's a waste of time. Seriously, it's a waste of time. So in a way, as an investor, one of the things that we also do is how we make your company more efficient. At least myself, I would. Because I will be, like I said, I will be looking into, okay, how are you spending your time? Are you like having meetings? And I say, why even have the meeting when you can make a decision now? Because as a younger company right now these days, you can't afford to be slow. Seriously, you can't afford to be slow. You talk about Bitcoin. How many people are using Bitcoin now? How many? No one's using Bitcoin? Anyone heard about blockchain? Yeah. How many are actually thinking of integrating blockchain? None. Personally, anyone investing in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all that stuff? No? Okay. I can tell you, you're in for a really big shock if you do not know what it is. Seriously. A lot of the investors, even the old ones, are getting onto the bandwagon now. So if you are slow on blockchain, if you don't know anything about it, okay, it's never too late. Learn something, go and check it out, how it is. It might not be related to what you have immediately, but I can tell you what we're doing right now, everything is related to ICOs. Seriously. Because a company coming up to me and say, hey, I want you to invest in my company, I can pretty much guarantee a lot of investors will not be interested in anything what you're saying. Like I said, investors for us, we're looking for efficient things. So I'm giving you $100. Can you give me $200 by tomorrow? No, okay, that's too much. Next week, next year. There are, I don't know your companies, the industries, the nature that you're working on, but there are companies that will generate quicker revenues if you're using consumer retail, things like that. There are things like accounts receivables. You know what that is? Waiting for people to pay you back after a certain period. I can tell you there will be a lot of people not paying you back. Seriously. If you've done business before, you know that people will run away, not paying you. You have to chase until yet, hey, I got to give you a legal letter, then you're going to pay me bit by bit. So the cash flow is not going to be a good thing, and it's going to be a long-term thing. And if you're doing like B2B supply chains and all that kind of thing, that is even a longer time period. If I'm asking you, give me $100, but we're only having revenues 2 years later, you'll be telling me, Desmond, you're crazy. Go away. I get more returns by just investing in the stock market or in Bitcoins. That's how it is. And that's what we're doing right now is we're trying to put the ICO thing into traditional long-term companies where the investors were seeing, hey, there's a short-term gain at the very same time as well. So that's one technique that we're using right now. But if you're just thinking about, hey, I've got this platform or I've got this company, this product I'm selling, I can pretty much guarantee you, you will not get serious investments. You might get some seed money from grants or whatever, or from pitching events. Good luck. Even that is very difficult. But in reality is, investors these days, if you really go and look down into the market right now these days, the market is not good. Seriously, the market is very bad. If you believe in what you read on the news, then you haven't done your homework, period. So putting the value back into the company, like I said, these are the hidden information, the market information that I can help you. Because you're professional in, say, for example, making a rocket, for example. Okay, I don't know anything about making a rocket. I may know something, okay? But I know a lot of different people who can help you. So I'm making you more efficient. Hey, I want strategic partnerships around here. I can say, okay, what kind of people you need? Maybe I know someone who knows someone, or maybe I know that person as well directly. Then I can pull him and say, hey, that will save a lot of time. My main concern is not just money, but saving time. Because the more time you're figuring out what you're doing yourself, remember one thing, there will always be a competitor hiding in the shadows that you don't know. More than one. And if you're late, someone will be doing a lot of stuff and you're thinking that you're the only one doing it. That's why I hate the word, I'm the only one who's doing it. Because it just shows that you don't know anything. Have you actually done research in the marketplace, in the market? Probably not. Because the moment you tell me what your business model is, I'll know that, hey, I've heard tons of these companies, I've heard tons of people trying to make it, failing, and new companies sprouting up and doing exactly the same thing. So you are never the only one who's doing it. Which means that, hey, you're just trying to con me. But hey, you're talking to an expert around here, so you better be very careful. And also the value we're talking about in terms of business development, that's one thing. And also, one of the key things that I'm doing right now these days, like I said, it's about ICO, it's about the blockchain, Bitcoin kind of thing. the tokenization of companies. And yesterday or the day before, China announced that ICO has been banned. Okay, Hong Kong is 1 day late. That news, I know that for 6 months already. That's what we call professionalism. I'm 10 steps ahead of you. So this is something I've been looking at blockchain technology, blockchain projects for more than 4 years. And because of the change of the governments, I'm just starting, for the past 2 years, starting to look back into what it is. So the fact is, most people in my WhatsApp group or different groups are saying, oh, China is banning or whatever and stuff like that. Everyone's freaking out. And I say, what's there to freak out? I've known this for a long time already. I've been prepared for this because I've been doing it already. We've been doing it already. We know how it is. We can see how different companies are closing down. Those are hints in terms of what's going to happen. Educated guesses. That's what we do. Because I've got the connections, I know the people, I talk to other people, and some things may not be directly related to Rocket, but I know what kind of things will affect your business, which you may not know. For example, ICOs. Suddenly, something is happening and the world is rippling around. And today, Bitcoin is going crazy back up again. So if you don't know when to buy, if you don't know when to sell, that means you don't know insider information. Then you haven't done the research. As a CEO, you should know more than just what you have because you're deciding on what kind of strategic partnerships you're doing, what kind of proactive actions you have to do before the market actually reacts. If every time it's like you're reacting, then you'll be slow because you don't have enough manpower. You only have one person or two persons working on certain things. So the more information you have, the better you're equipped in terms of, oh, should I be developing this at all? Because if this is going to happen, what's going to be happening is I'm going to close down overnight, which is happening in China right now. A lot of companies want to do ICO. A lot of companies are approaching me and say, oh, shit, I can't do ICO anymore because China government is, if you know China government, if you've done research or if you've done work in China before, you'll know that China government doesn't give you any time. If they don't like it, by tomorrow, it's gone. Cut. One off. So there's no like any periods for you to break in or break off. It's just like by tomorrow, everything's shut down. So it is. It's everything shut down right now. So everyone's asking me, okay, how can you do ICO and all that stuff because it's banned in China. Of course, we have different ways, but I've seen it for like 6 months already. How haven't you seen it? Well, we have a whole team and everything. We have like investors, angel investors, and all these technical guys around here. Then you lack a strategic guy like me to actually tell you what it is. Because I've known this for a while already. If you talk to me like 6 months ago, then you'll be prepared to actually change the direction of your ship. Hey, I'm here, I'm a spotter on a ship. And say, there's an iceberg coming along here. I won't be the one who's steering the ship. I will be the one who's telling you, Captain, because I respect the founders, because I won't be the one who's working on it. I can't take over and kick you out and say, hey, I'm going to steer the ship. No, because that's number one, disrespectful as a partner, and number two, that's not in my efficiency book. It's not efficient. It's better for me to tell you, hey, Mr. Chan, there's an iceberg coming along here 6 months later. So right now, my suggestion is we should be steering that way and not here. So if you have two founders, you will have to have at least 2 meetings. Waste of time. 6 months is 6 months. It's not going to go longer or shorter. They don't care. Time is time. Every second that we're doing, time is slipping away. That will not wait for you. So yeah, you can go home, sit, play with the kids, and then think about it. But for me, it's like, hey, if you make a decision, make it now as quickly as possible. because one more second means you have one more chance of winning. So that's how I provide the value in terms of telling you, because you're focused on your business and your clients, which you should be, and you don't have a team of analysts around here. I'm going to be the whole team of analysts. You're better off with me as well because I'm more experienced, and if I'm coming in, I'm doing it for you for free, in a way, in a sense. So having me on board is definitely a good thing. But of course, some people will not want me on board, but that's really depends on how each person is. So, but then again, like I said, if I'm coming on board, I will be asking certain things as well, because I'm giving you my expertise and my timing. So I won't dictate, but at the back of my mind, I know certain things are moving along. And if you're saying, no, I'm not going to listen to you, I still want to do that. There's a lot of companies coming to me and ask for advice, but they don't take my advice. Then why ask me in the first place? They ask me, hey, what should I be doing? And I say, okay, you should not be doing it. I can pretty much talk like within 5 seconds after you give me your brief in terms of what your industry is. I can spot out all the challenges, what your current problems are, what your current competitors are. And I can tell you what kind of solutions you can actually change. But at the end of the day, if you don't listen to it and you say, no, I still want to go to that area, I'm jumping off the cliff, but I still want to jump off the cliff because I want to try if I can fly. It's up to you because you're the captain. I'm not your captain. So if you want to do that, go ahead and die, which pretty much these companies die eventually because they don't take into advice. And I don't expect you to take everything that I said. I expect you to know what it is and you do some research yourself because you're the own professional and you decide on, as a CEO, as a normal person, if I'm coming up to you and say, hey, buy this because this is the best thing in the world, you won't be doing that. You'll be asking your friends as well for advice and everything. So go ahead, go and ask for advice. Go and get a second opinion. If the doctor comes over to you and say, you got cancer, you have to operate now. You most probably, unless that doctor is someone who you really, really trust, you'll be asking for a second and a third opinion before you do that, right? So yeah, go ahead, ask for a second and a third opinion. But if I'm saying something and you don't know, and you say, okay, I ignore this, then that's a problem with your management style. And I have a big problem with that.